My guest at this time is going to take on Jay White, Adam Cole, and Kazuchika Okada this Sunday at Forbidden Door for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It's Hangman Page. Hangman, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I didn't know we were going to do video. I don't have a shirt on. I don't know if you mind, but it's casual Thursday here at my house.
That's fine. I actually put on a cowboy styled shirt for this interview.
See, I would have done that.
It's okay. I did. That's good. You don't even need the shirt because I have the shirt, right?
Okay. Thank you. I guess it evens out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
normally you're shirtless, right?
Normally, you're right. Most of the time, I'm doing my interviews without my shirt on, but today it's a twist.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good twist.
Okay.
My dog's barking.
Yeah, I think the dog loves the opening banter. So Hangman, this is a huge bout, man. Fatal 4-way IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Like, what's your mindset going into this thing? Obviously, some big things happened last night on Dynamite, man. A lot of energy around this bout now.
Yeah, it's not the still there. There we go. An alarm set. It's not the match I expected. I expected to face Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He lost it because I'm a dumbass and didn't realize that could happen. So Jay White's the champion. I hoped maybe for a match with him for this championship, and now it's a 4-way. But I'm very, very glad to be sharing the ring with these three guys. They're three of the absolute best in the world, and I guess it makes four. If you count me.
For sure. Yeah, and talk about Okada, man. We've seen Jay White on TV, obviously with you and Adam both, but last night was the first time a lot of fans had, got to see Okada A for the first time, but B definitely for the first time in AEW. What was it like to kind of be in that room, man? It felt like a really genuine, special moment for him to come out and run out and fight and all that.
It was, yeah. I mean, AEW's been around for 3 years. I think probably a lot of fans have been waiting for the moment the coins drop, and they did. I didn't see it coming, though I had been hoping for it, and they did. So really special. Really glad to be a part of that. To welcome him to All Elite Wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And what's it been like having all the New Japan talent around? Obviously, you're not a stranger to New Japan, but like for the first time, these two companies are sharing a locker room. I'm guessing to some extent. Like, well, what is it like having to see these two rosters alongside each other at the moment?
It's been great. When AEW started, we all didn't know how this would turn out. We didn't know how it would go. I didn't know that I would ever go back to Japan. I knew it was certainly an option, but I didn't know how much of an option it would be, and I didn't know, how many of those guys, if any of them, I would ever see again, because they're guys that I spent, sometimes months at a time for several years with, traveling all over Japan. And then to suddenly realize, oh shit, I might not see this guy again. And then to have them kind of all at once back in now our locker room in America. It's really good. It's good to see all these guys again. I think more than anything else, obviously for fans to be able to, give them, or be able to show them these wrestlers, these talents here in America. I mean, that's great too. But honestly, just for me, it's just seeing these guys again, being able to say hello again. That's cool.
Yeah, because I had heard, when AEW, was first announced, and obviously that was pre-pandemic, that New Japan Pro Wrestling was not particularly thrilled that all of you left to go do this. I mean, is it really? Is it? I mean, it's pretty still hard for me to believe that this is even playing out as friendly as it is. Obviously they found each other in the same foxhole during the pandemic, but I did not. I thought New Japan was well off into its own North American expansion before all this stuff played out.
Yeah, well, time heals all wounds. I can see how, in what 2018, this would have been a hell of a wound, to realize that a lot of your top American talent are, just gone. And the door was open. The door was open. The door's always been open, and I'm glad now it's no longer forbidden, and that we're getting to do this. So, I mean, it's taken 3 years, but I'm glad we're here. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of inevitable, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And so, if you take this title here on Sunday, if win, I guess I'll give you the benefit of the doubt since it's your interview here. How do you see yourself defending this title? Would you like to spend more time in Japan? Would you like to bring that belt more stateside? Like, what kind of an IWGP World Champion would you see yourself as right now?
All of the above. I would love to go back to Japan. I think travel restrictions are probably lessened. I don't know what they are at this point, but probably easier to deal with at this point. So I would love to go back. It's been a long time since I've had pepper lunch, so I'd love to do that. Um, yeah, I would absolutely love to go back to New Japan should I be IWGP World Heavyweight Champion.
Did you say pepper lunch?
Pepper Lunch, yeah, as a restaurant, they give you like almost like a raw steak, but they give it to you in like this really hot ass cast iron like pan. And you just kind of sit there and you like turn it over and it cooks, and then you eat it, however you want. It's so
Uh,
good.
oh yeah, I got like a Korean place around the corner from me that does that. Okay.
So good.
So good. Wonderful. Yeah. Well, I was reading some quotes earlier today from John Moxley. He did this very candid interview with his wife. I don't know if you saw it, but he was talking about how he thought it was good for guys like Wheeler Yuta, Darby Allin to go over, do things like Best of Super Juniors, work over in Japan, and bring those skills back to AEW. You obviously already kind of went through that. I mean, like, do you feel like a little bit? I mean, you're still really young, man, but like, do you feel like you carry a little bit of that veteran clout now when you're talking to these guys that are trying to figure out what do I do with this New Japan relationship? What would you do if you were me, kind of deal? You know?
Um, no, not really. But then I realize, like in the midst of a conversation, I'm talking to a guy who's never been to Japan or never
Right.
wrestled guys who don't primarily speak English or whatever it is, and they're maybe a little overwhelmed or intimidated by it. And to me, that seems like such a foreign and far gone, just train of thought, I guess. So yeah, I don't like off the top of my head, I don't feel that way. But in the midst of a conversation, I'll kind of realize like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I have done stuff that a lot of these younger guys, as it pains me to say it, they've had the chance to. So I mean, yeah, like for a guy like Wheeler to get to go over and do Best of Super Juniors, like that's incredible. It's great to be able to wrestle that frequently, that often with guys you've never wrestled before. I mean, it just sharpens you, you know.
Yeah. What do you think of the announcement last night that Brian Danielson's not going to be able to wrestle? I mean, you guys had a hell of about I think maybe one of your very first title defenses. I don't remember if it was your first or whatever, but man, you
I think it
guys
was,
threw
yeah.
down. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, you guys threw down, man. Like, what is it like for you to watch this guy so quickly have to kind of be taken off the table? It feels like a lot of talent right now at AEW. I think people are saying are going down with injury at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. Like I guess God, I hate to say like as I get older. Um but as I get older, wrestling is more scary to me, just like watching it because I've now, been around and known people who've had to quit or retire or, who had just like grueling injuries or things they'll carry with them forever. Like it's it's fun to watch, but in some ways, like it's becoming less fun to watch too, because I guess I'm just like, kind of realizing the gravity of that kind of stuff. I hope the best for him. Obviously, I don't know any details, and I couldn't really hear his promo Wednesday anyway. I can't hear anything in the arenas anymore. Um, so I don't even know what he said. But yeah, I just hope the best for him. Yeah, I hope the best for anyone's health. Obviously.
Do you think that AEW style is a particularly rougher style? I think that's something a lot. Obviously, you chimed in recently about how elders in our community have podcasts, have their own opinions, right? But I feel like this, what I'm bringing up right now, is like a kind of refrain I've seen across a lot of people, which is like, they think that the guys in AEW are pushing themselves a little hard right now.
Um, yes and no. I mean, obviously, it's maybe a more physical style than wrestling has been for the past, couple of decades, at least, mainstream in America. But I like that. But you got to take into consideration, you know, it's not the 70s or 80s. We're not all, gassed up and, tearing our bodies apart in that way. We're not all, dealing with substance abuse stuff. So we're generally across the board healthier. I mean, we do dynamite once a week, and I don't wrestle every week. My body has way more time to heal right now than it ever has before. So you take all that into consideration, and like when you wrestle once every 2 or 3 or 4 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever the hell it is, um, you kind of want to go all out. I will never knock anybody for that.
Yeah, for sure. And just to clarify, like everybody saw your tweet yesterday. I think Booker T had his chance to weigh in on it, said you didn't name him by name, but were you kind of reacting to maybe not just Booker, but everybody out there who was giving crap to Adam Cole for whatever kind of meme was going around the other day?
No. I was as specific as I intended to be.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I want to take a step back here real fast. We talked a lot about your IWGP World Championship shot this Sunday, but man, yeah, you just wrapped up. Unfortunately, your first AEW World Title run here not long ago. When you look back on it, man, what do you think about your World Title run? How do you feel about your own World Title run?
Uh, like with everything, there's good and bad. But I think I learned some stuff, about me, about wrestling. It's difficult. I never realized the pressure of being a world champion. And I mean, that might seem to someone watching, like, oh, you defended it once every 3 or 4 weeks or whatever. How hard could that be? But just the pressure of having that championship, um, and knowing that you'll have to do anything to hold on to it. And as champion, that whatever you do should feel like the most important thing in the world because you are the champion. Like that's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
I don't know that I handled it the best out of anyone that's ever handled it, but it's my first time. I think it made me, a better person, a better wrestler, in a lot of respects.
Well, you got the title, man, right when a lot of big names were coming through the door that a lot of people got really excited about. Punk, Bryan, Cole, all those guys, all right at the same time. I mean, did you get the reaction I think that you were expecting, or do you think all that stuff kind of threw off the mojo a little bit? That there were all these kind of bigger pieces floating around when that moment happened for you?
I wasn't really worried about anything anyone else was doing. I was worried about me. I was worried about, being a better me the next day than I was that day. Um, and I did that. And I really wasn't concerned about anyone else.
Well, you and Punk had some really unique chemistry. That promo that you guys did on the go home before the pay per view, I saw compared to like the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart promos, where it was like some people were saying maybe there's a little bit more truth, little reality floating into what's going on here with these two guys. I mean, do you genuinely feel a little bit of distance between Punk and some parts of the locker room? Is that something that you feel earnest about?
Uh, Probably not something I want to say a lot about. Yeah.
Okay.
I think like I said before, I think I was specific as I intended to be, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. Well, beyond that, I mean, obviously, you guys had the match at Double or Nothing. He got asked about not being able to execute the buckshot lariat correctly. What's your reaction to like this like a big moment, right? And then it just doesn't click. Like, were you upset? Were you what like? How did you feel about that? Him not being able to quite hit that buckshot lariat move in that match,
It made me feel better about myself that I can do it. I know that.
I guess.
Like grabbing the ropes and flipping over like that and landing on your feet and hitting the guy in the face is hard on any day at any time, much less, 20 minutes into a match. And I think that made me have a little bit more appreciation and pride in the ability to do it. It doesn't surprise me that he couldn't, and that's not a knock on him because it's a tough ass thing to do, and it's something I've done for a long time now. I've had time to sharpen it. He hasn't. So I don't know that I have the best go to sleep in the world either. Certainly not as good as his because he beat my ass with it. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And then, man, like so quickly thereafter, he gets this. What was your reaction to him kind of going down right after the fact? It's a very quick change of events.
Yeah, I didn't know that had happened because I think I was there that Wednesday following the pay per view, but I ended up getting taken off the show Friday, and I managed to get home thankfully because I had been gone for a while. Uh, so I kind of didn't even know until the next week what was really even going on. Um, I hope him the best. I hope he's in minimal discomfort, and I hope he heals well.
Yeah, for sure. And so then in the wake of that, there's the interim AEW championship that's going to be decided, the Eliminator tournament. And I think a lot of fans were surprised to see you kind of more in the IWGP World title mix as opposed to back in the AEW World title mix so shortly thereafter. How do you feel about it?
Well, I had a match announced for that Dynamite, and then later I think they announced the Battle Royal. So I couldn't get my way into this Battle Royal, try as I might. And I think it's typically been the story in AEW that, I had my championship match. I had it the previous Sunday and I lost. Um, so I'm out of contention for a bit, and that's fine. I'll do what it takes to get back there. If it wasn't the next week, that's fine. It took me 3 years to get there. I'm not going to be put off too much about waiting, an extra month or two if it takes it to work my way back up to that chance.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things we wanted to ask you about too was, your relationship with Dark Order, man. A lot of fans really loved the chemistry y'all had together, but ever since you kind of said it was time to go your separate ways, it really seems kind of to be pretty genuine. How is it being a man walking more on his own again, kind of away from the Dark Order at the moment?
I talked about how I felt like I learned a bit about myself as champion. And that's maybe one of the things I learned. And I talked about the pressure of being a champion. I let that get to me, I think, more than I thought I would. I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. I thought I would win the championship and I would be happy. And I would be the perfect version of myself. And I wasn't either. Um, it's not like I didn't talk to them every single week, because I did. Uh, but maybe I was too busy or stressed sometimes to do those BTE bits every week, or if they had a match, maybe I had something else going on too, and I was too worried about that to really be glued to the screen for what they were doing. I let that pressure, I guess, affect a lot of friendships. Um, and I guess I like, the cynic in me wants to say that's something that maybe comes with being champion. But I think just as a personal thing, maybe that's a bit of a failure, something to work on, I guess.
See, that's the thing is like you're willing to admit your failure and that you're willing to grow. And that's why I think a lot of as a millennial, I think a lot of us relate to you. You are the anxious millennial cowboy. It's something that we haven't seen in generations before. And I just personally want to just say I really respect that, man. And the line you had a line after one of the I forget which one it was. It's when somebody asked you about Kane. But you said if you can respond with humor, people are going to be a lot more likely to see your way. And I think that's really going to benefit. And again, I'm not really asking a question, but I think in the long run, I think that's a really good thing just for wrestling and for you and for everybody. I really just like the way you approach the business and just life in general, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever been mad at me and was able to change my mind about anything. But if you make me laugh, I'll at least, you know, I guess
Yeah.
that maybe I don't know, a good approach, a good take on life.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. All right. Well, Hangman, I want to thank you so much. Best of luck this Sunday. Is there anything you want to put over here, shout out before we wrap it up?
Canada Dry, ginger ale. Shit is so good.
Mm.
What else do I want to put over? Uh, Silas Young. He's
Oh, we
great.
didn't talk about
I
Silas.
wrestled him yesterday. He's
We
incredible.
Can we talk about Silas? Yes, let's talk because Silas Young, a dime of the Midwest, big fan of Silas Young. What was it like to resurrect the stuff with Silas last night on Wednesday?
Really cool, because when I first got to Ring of Honor, he was like one of my first real opponents. I guess when like the company was taking me seriously,
Yeah.
not just a guy to just come in and do whatever. He was one of my first real opponents. We had a handful of matches together. He was obviously way more experienced, way older, all of that, than I was at the time. And I was able to learn some stuff from him, and it helped me out a ton. It helped me, kind of at least get my foot in the door at Ring of Honor. And to be able to welcome him into AEW for this first match there, it meant a lot to me. So it was good, and I was glad it was in Milwaukee, his hometown, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that was cool. He got a great reaction because of that, I'm sure. So it was really cool. I hadn't seen him, since we left Ring of Honor, I don't think. And I probably hadn't wrestled him for a while when I was still there. He has gotten, not that he was ever bad or anything, but he's gotten way better than I even remembered him being. He's great, yeah. So I don't know what the future holds for him, whether it's AEW or just independent stuff in general, or whatever happens with Ring of Honor, or all of the above, or something I didn't list. I don't know. I think he's an incredible wrestler, and Yeah, I hope he can keep on chugging.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I think it'd be a layup for Ring of Honor. I mean, he was really synonymous with the kind of brand there at the end, for sure. Him and Bruiser both. Big fan of both those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Adam or Hangman? I guess before we wrap up.
Oh man. Let me think, man. On Delta Airlines now, the
Mm.
little snacks they bring by, they have pistachios that are honey roasted.
Oh,
Uh, and they're just so good. I just got to tell you about that. It's a small pleasure, but I get it twice a week at least. So good.